Hey everybody, welcome back to Mixing Music Analog and mixingmusicanalog.com and here on my YouTube channel. And this week we're going to take a look at another piece of gear in my rack. I'm going to give you an overview of the WES-AUDIO NG bus compressor, a wonderful, wonderful stereo bus compressor that I'm using and kind of have hard patched onto my drum bus here. And we're going to listen to it on some drums. I'm going to show you some of the unique features of the NG bus compressor, and I highly recommend you check it out. I've had it for about 6 or 8 months now, and I just love it. It's absolutely an awesome, awesome compressor. Nothing else on the market sounds anything like it. In my opinion, there's no plugin that kind of does what this does. So if you're interested in the NG bus compressor, you can check out the link below in the description box. It'll take you out to Sweetwater. They carry them. Full disclosure, that is an affiliate link. So if you purchase the NG bus compressor or anything else using the links in the description box below from Sweetwater, I do get a small commission, but you don't pay anything else, and it helps me out here. And I thank you in advance for doing so. So make sure, if you like what you see in this video, hit that subscribe button and also hit the notification bell, yada, yada, yada. Let's head on over into Studio One and let's take a look at the NG bus compressor. So here we are in Studio One, and as I said, I have the NG bus compressor kind of hard patched onto my drum bus. I love it on drum bus. But I've also used it in the past on full mixes and it sounds great as well. It's an amazing compressor, sounds good on just about everything. Now, here's the key with WES-AUDIO stuff, which makes it really super unique. Not only do they make really high quality analog gear, but it is all digitally controlled with their plugin in your DAW. So what that means is you could sit right here in the sweet spot between the speakers, adjust the plugin on the screen, and it will adjust the actual controls on the hardware. Or you could go over to the hardware and twist the hardware, fiddle with the knobs, and it will adjust the plugin. Let me show you what I mean, and we'll check it out and we'll listen to it. So here we are in Studio One in our session. I have the NG bus compressor plugin part of this on my drum stem coming back into Studio One, right? So everything goes out of Studio One through the SSL, goes through my drum group, my drum bus, and back in as a print track if I want to print the drum stem. On that input, I put the insert of the bus compressor plugin. Here it is here, and I'm sure somewhere on the screen at one point or another you will actually see the hardware as well. As I have a camera on that, it looks exactly the same. So this is a stereo bus compressor. This is a VCA style, SSL-ish kind of bus compressor. Sounds amazing. Let me walk you through the feature set. So if you look right down the middle here, in the middle of the plugin or the middle of the unit, we have a parameter link, a bypass, and as I'm clicking the bypass, you will also see the bypass on the hardware change, and you may hear the relays inside of the unit. And we have a mute switch here as well. To the left side of these series of buttons in the middle is the left side of the compressor, and on the right side of the compressor is on the right side of the middle section here. And they're exactly the same. They're identical. So I'm just going to go over the left side. The right side is exactly the same. So over here on the top left-hand corner, we have our threshold. And if I turn our threshold, you will see the hardware also adjust as well as the right side because they're linked together. Underneath that, we have our attack. We have all the usual suspects here of attack time. Right now, we're doing a pretty slow attack here on this drum bus, but you can change your attack here. In the center, we'll get to the bottom section in a second. In the center, we have a series of buttons here to change the ratio. We can go from a 1.5 to a 2 to a 4, 10, or infinity. Drum bus, usually around 2-to-1 compression is pretty typical for me. And then above that, we have our nice VU meter, which is really nice. Let's see, and then on the on the right side of the meter, we have our release time here. Okay, we can adjust right here, release. And then we have a wet-dry mix, which is really cool if you want to do some kind of a parallel compression type of a deal. Right now I have it on 100% wet. At the very bottom here, we have our side chain, which I have off right now. But we have our side chain here that you can adjust if you want. Let's say you put it on 60, anything from 60 hertz and below is not going to affect the compressor if you want to use it on something like master bus, stereo mix, or whatever. And then what really makes this compressor really special, in my opinion, aside from the fact that you can control it with a plug-in digitally, is all the saturation and the transformer circuit that we have here. So in the center here, we have, I'm going to turn this off here, this button off, this pad button off. That turns, when we have it in this mode here, and this red button is not lit, over here on the bottom left-hand side, we have THD, which is total harmonic distortion. So they have a distortion circuit. Now, all of the WES-AUDIO compressors in their gear have a THD circuit. What's unique about the NG bus compressor is that it's completely sweepable from min to max. And you can see as I turn up max, you can see how it affects my drum stem. You can see the circuit here on the metering below. On their other 500 series products, they just have a little button that goes from medium to high to off. This is sweepable, so you get a little bit more control over how much total harmonic distortion, how much of that circuit that you want. When you're in this mode here, right next to that, we have our makeup gain. So as you use your threshold, right, and you lower the volume because you're compressing, you use this makeup gain which lights up in an LED color green, and that's like a traditional makeup gain. When you engage the iron circuit, which is the other really unique feature of this and which really makes this thing super special, is this is a transformer circuit that they have a transformer inside. This is an output transformer inside of the unit. So when this iron pad is unlit and it's green, we're bypassing the transformer, okay? When we light it up red, and now the makeup gain becomes red, the more we push this makeup gain, the more you're driving the output signal through the transformer. And then next to that, we have an iron pad. And what that does is as you push more makeup gain, and I'll demonstrate this in a second, it's going to get louder. And then you can adjust the pad accordingly to compensate for the volume difference. So when you bypass the unit, the before and after with and without the circuit is the same volume. You can level match it. That's how it works. So you can either use this without the transformer in the output stage and just use this like a traditional compressor, or if you want some additional color in that transformer vibe, you're going to hit the iron, which is what I typically always do. Have not had a situation yet where I didn't use the transformer circuit, but that's just me. You may like it either way, but you can choose it on or off. We're going to start with it off. So here we are on our drum bus here. This is the drum mix that we've been working on for the last several weeks in my mixing demonstrations video. The drums are mixed pretty much, and this is the drum bus compressor. So let's play this back and let's hear what we have without the NG bus compressor. Here we go. Okay, sounds fine, sounds great. We've been mixing this all along. Sounds really good. So now I'm going to bring in the NG bus compressor and let's see what it sounds like, and we'll dial in a little bit of compression here. We'll do a 2-to-1 ratio, we will do a quick release, and we'll just dial in maybe 4 dB of compression. Let's just see what it sounds like. Okay, so you hear more of the sustain of the snare, you hear a little bit more of the room, the cymbals get a little bit more splashy, gets a little bit more energy. Level match by turning down the makeup gain, doing about 4 dB of compression. Now I'll add and I'll take away some of the THD circuit, the total harmonic distortion circuit, and you'll hear what that can do. Here we go. So you turn it up all the way, it gets a little bit hairy, dial it back a little bit. Now the thing about THD and total harmonic distortion, saturation, and because we're going to engage the iron circuit here in a second, I'm going to demonstrate that. So I like to use it a little bit more sparingly. I don't want to over compress because saturation is going to add a little bit of compression. It's going to tame the transients just a little bit, which is a good thing. But if we do it too much, it could take away some of the energy of the drum set, in my opinion. So I like to do these things a little bit more subtle, but you just dial it into taste. Okay, Okay, so now we'll bring in the iron circuit, the transformer. Let me show you what that does. Okay, so as I turn down the makeup knob, which is now the how much level you're hitting the transformer with at the output stage, as I turn this down, it gets quieter. So now I'm going to turn down the pad and it's going to get louder. Listen. Okay, so that's not really hitting the transformer at all. We want to push this a little bit. So I'm going to push up the transformer, hit that a little bit harder. We're going to adjust it with the iron pad, and you could hear how I kind of, as I turn it up and turn it down, how it kind of changes the characteristic and how it adds more of that transformer color. Here we go. Okay, so you can even hear some of the kick being a little distorted now because we're hitting the transformer really hard now. So I'm going to back it off a little bit and kind of set it to where I think it probably sounds great with this particular mix. So the other great thing about this is you can also save presets in the plugin. So again, it acts just like a plugin, although it's all hardware. So let's say on different sessions, you want to set it up for different types of compression. You can do that using presets. It's really cool. You can also run this in mid-side mode, where if you don't link the parameters, you could treat the left and the right differently if you want, or separately if you like. I usually keep it linked on both sides, because if you don't do that, you got to be careful one side of the stereo field's not louder than the other. Let's work with the sidechain a little bit. Let's see what that does. Okay, so set to 90 Hertz. You can really hear that the snare is affecting that because we have the Aphex 204 on the snare, bringing in some weight around that 90 Hertz range. So I think it's a little too high. If I dial it back to 60, so it's really great. You can have endless amount of possibilities on how you want to adjust this, how you want to incorporate the iron circuit, the transformer circuit with the total harmonic distortion. You could be very subtle, you could be pretty aggressive. We're doing everything right now at a 2-to-1 ratio. If you go to a 4-to-1 ratio, we get a lot more compression. It's a little too heavy for this, I believe, so I'm going to go back to a 2-to-1, or we can go 1.5 to 1. Really love the way this sounds. And because I'm using a little bit of compression in the box with an SSL channel strip, I'm not over compressing here at all. So again, sometimes just running it through the total harmonic distortion, running it through the transformer circuit, and just barely hitting the needle is all you really need if the drums are mixed well and you have some compression on the individual tracks like we do. So this is just a wonderful, wonderful unit. I love the WES-AUDIO gear. I own all of their compressor units. They may in the this one, and then the 500 series I own the Dione and the new Very-Mu RIA, which again are all digitally controlled. There'll be videos for those as well. By the time you see this, there may already be one in the playlist. You can check that out. They also make an 1176 style compressor, which is not digitally controlled. It's an older unit, but most of their new stuff coming out is all this digitally controlled stuff, and I just love it. I wish every company did this. Most of them do not. And this is wonderful. And really, for me, the reason is mostly I like to be able to control it from the plugin, because whenever I'm sitting in the sweet spot between the speakers, and if I want to go adjust the compressor or go bypass the compressor, I don't want to roll my chair over to the racks and go out of the sweet spot and have to kneel down on the grounds. I like being able to sit right here. The one bad thing about the Origin, or the one negative thing I could say, is that the group channels here, the buses, this is on our drum bus, there is no insert bypass on the console. You have to bypass it on the physical hardware, or in our case on the plugin, which makes it no big deal. Obviously on all the individual tracks, there are insert buttons that you can pull the hardware in and out, so you could be sitting in the sweet spot. If you want to hear the effect, you pull it in and out. Not on the buses. One thing I wish they would have done is put inserts on the group channels. They didn't do that. They did it on the master bus, they did it on all the individual channels, they didn't do it on the group channels, which is kind of a drag. So having something like the WES-AUDIO digitally controlled stuff makes it so much more convenient for me. I like it like that, and I just love this thing. Like I said, I've used this on a stereo mix before I had my SSL Fusion, and before I had this console with the bus compressor. When I was working in the box, solely in the box, I was using this on my stereo bus, and it's magical. This is a wonderful piece of gear. This is not a sponsored video in any way, so I'm just telling you what my honest opinion of it is, and I've been using this for about 6 months, and it's never leaving my rack. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So I recommend you check it out for yourself. And check out all the other WES-AUDIO stuff, because again, it's all digitally controlled and makes hybrid working flawless and easy. So I hope you like this look and sounds of the NG Bus Compressor by WES-AUDIO. Let me know what you think below. Leave comments below. Do you know anything about WES-AUDIO? Have you used any of their stuff? What do you think about this compressor? Have you ever checked out any of their other stuff? And what do you use on your drum bus? What do you use for a compressor? I'd love to know. Leave some comments below and let me know what you think of this particular piece of gear. And once again, like, share, subscribe. It really does help me here. I really do appreciate all your support, everybody. You guys are really awesome. And until the next video, I've been Dave with Mixing Music Analog and mixingmusicanalog.com. And I'll see you guys really soon. Take care, everybody.